So we will go on with our next presentation, interoperability and collaboration best with individual security. And we have our next expert, and he is Head of Business Unit Mobility and Smart City of LEGIC. That is Felix Puetz. Und Felix wird uns erzählen, warum wirklich smarte Ideen auf die Integration mit anderen Services setzen und was LEGIC dabei für eine Rolle spielt. Viel Spaß, Ihr Applaus, bitteschön.
Danke. Yeah, thank you, Ines, for that warm welcome, and thank you, Andreas, for highlighting the need for data integrity and for giving us that insights just the other minute. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what if we look into this new world of ecosystems at the example of, let's say, mobility? Who knows me knows that mobility is my favorite topic to talk about, so why should I be talking about something else? So looking at sharing as the most prominent example of for the access to assets in new mobility ecosystems, sharing is a service which enables everyone to register and then just like use the vehicle of choice, like driving a Mercedes, driving a BMW, maybe a electric car or a smart, wherever and whenever you like to. So it is just one example which then comes together in these new mobility concepts, which most of the time are triggered by environmental awareness or just the idea of getting the vehicles out of the city. But there's one more quite important aspect when it comes to sharing economy or new mobility, and that is that there's also an economical interest. Because in the end, it's also about the efficient use of vehicles, infrastructure, city space. And whatever cannot be covered by public transport, for example, needs to be covered by other mobility concepts, like micromobility, for example. So I think, and we all agree, or we can all agree on that, that urban mobility is undergoing some change. And as the room in cities is getting short, but people still want to live there need to be concepts and business models which take that into account. So easy sharing of not only vehicles, but also office space or living space is a central application. But, well, there's always a but with the nice things. So where do the cars go when new mobility is over for them? So what happens to all those shared cars which have been built only for that single purpose? And also which have a pretty short lifespan due to the rough treatment from the sharers, let's say. Well, at least then we should make sure that they keep the balance between environmental footprint and also economical. Maybe some of you remember that one. That was when Europe was flooded with shared bikes, which at least were supposed to be shared. And however, we all know the result was no good. There was no concept, there was no market, and there was just no plan. And I think we can still find some of them in the Zurich Lake. And what else we can find in the Zurich Lake is this. There are definitely some in there. However, e-scooters is a much better example of micromobility because they are used a lot. I think, like, who used a like a e-scooter, shared one once? Come on, hands up. I told you it's used a lot. At least some of you. it's also fun to drive. I remember Marcel and some other LEGIC guys, we were like driving through whole Berlin on an e-scooter. It's really fun to drive. However, well, so it's a much better example. And I just wonder why those scooters are in the cities in so many different colors. Because they are serving the exact same idea. Then maybe it would be better if there was just one service provider providing the infrastructure and the scooters, and then there were others who just like used the exact same infrastructure and differ by, for example, service level or pricing or user experience. And this is actually the point where LEGIC comes into the game. So what do we have to do with that? Well, I believe that it's on technology to do the starting point for being able to have assets in the market which can be used for multiple purposes. So we need to set the foundation for an efficient and multi-purpose use of infrastructure or vehicles, even on technology side. We need to be able to not only put that on assets, but we also need to be able to use it to have the same principle on the media side. So we need to be able to have one media, for example, a smart card or a smartphone, and use that for multiple purposes. So it goes without saying that LEGIC does exactly this. So this is where we also find our role in order to give you or give your customers the technology components and the tools to manage exactly this. I would like to give you at least 2 examples. The first, for sure, it's a vehicle. And in this case, it's an electric vehicle. We would see later why. And the owner of that vehicle, you can see him down there with the red, in red. He happens to put his private vehicle into a peer-to-peer sharing application, so that whenever he doesn't need it, he would like let it to others, so they might drive that vehicle. And so that's a good, let's say, good first application. But what if we take the same vehicle and just like also put it into a free-floating car-sharing application? That should be possible, because then, let's say, talking about efficiency again, here we go. And we just add that one. Actually, you need to have a look on the center SM6000 there on the car. So, as you just said, we just added the crypto and the application specifically on that security anchor there. And then maybe there is also the option that parcels are delivered into the trunk directly of that vehicle. And here we go and add this one as well on the crypto side and on the, let's say, on the LEGIC side. And then there's number 4, and that's why we need an electric car. This can be, for example, used as a two-way charger. So, like, if the vehicle has a full battery and then somebody else is running out, they may just like plug into that vehicle and then pay the red guy for what they took out of his battery. So we add this one as well. So what this shows is all 4 applications deliver different services. They follow different value propositions and different business models and ideas. However, they come together on the same vehicle, on the same asset, the same infrastructure, and this must be enabled by technology. And because, I mean, how else could we otherwise place those security anchors all together without the need to trust a single entity, except the owner of the vehicle, maybe? So that was the first example. Let's look at on the second side. So now we are coming to the media side. Now this guy just has a smartphone and he wants to make most use of it. The users want less apps on the smartphones, but they want more applications. And therefore a pretty easy solution would be like just like put more applications into one app. And here we see that the app can be used, for example, for public transport. So why not booking your ticket on that app? And now we added that on the smartphone. You see that there in the LEGIC SDK security anchor on the smartphone, we just like put it in there so that this app is good for the public transport. Then we're doing the same app, a car sharing, just to have a seamless user experience throughout the city. So we can have a car sharing application in the exact same app, and we add this one as well on the media side. And then we may be using it for e-charging again, and add that one. And there's one more, which is access control. Yeah, I don't forget you, access control, guys, and we add this one as well. So we have, again, 4 applications, but now differently. Now we are, let's say, sharing the media side. We're sharing the mobile phone, or the application on the mobile phone, and putting together different applications there. So it's just the opposite. And for sure, and yes, I didn't forget the smart cards this time as well, it also works on the card side. So this is it, more or less. It's either on the asset or on the card, and LEGIC does it for you. So summarizing, if we look into the future, and I mean, now it's kind of repetition what Andreas also already said, maybe, but we need to offer devices which are capable to work with different services on that single device. And if we want to move into that smart service business models, we need to work together. So collaboration is just important in order not to do the same 2, 3, 4 times. Doesn't make sense. And third point, why not using established protocols? RFID, Bluetooth, NFC, in future, most probably ultra-wideband. This is the way how we spread into larger ecosystems, how we can have acceptance with a huge user bases. And their offline competence is and stays a differentiator. So if we want to enable that, we need to make sure that security is not an add-on. It is not an extravagance. It's the basis for a long-term ecosystem or long-term business model. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Felix, for your presentation.